In the annals of professional sports, few athletes have ever been as loved, admired, and respected by their hometown fans as Saints quarterback Drew Brees. In New Orleans, they call him Cool Brees, or Breezes, for resurrecting a devastated city, reviving a half-dead franchise, and leading them to the Super Bowl championship. And at a time when a few high-profile NFL stars are serving jail time or suspensions for criminal or unacceptable conduct, Brees' activism and philanthropy has served to remind critics of big-time sports that the news is not always bad. In a 9-year NFL career, Brees has often been underappreciated and overlooked, but he's finally being recognized for what he is, an undersized athletic freak who in the past 4 years has completed more passes and thrown for more yardage than Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, or Brett Favre.
The story will continue in a moment.
Who's the best quarterback in the NFL?
Is this like if you're voting for, student council president and you can't vote for yourself, you got to vote for somebody else?
No, you can vote for yourself.
Drew Brees is much too smart to answer the question, but he is clearly pleased to be finally included in the conversation. And you can hear talk around the league that he's not only the NFL's top passer, but maybe its best player. And the person who seems to be the least surprised is Brees himself.
I'm a very modest person, but I'm also extremely confident. And if you put me in the situation or in the moment, I'm going to have some swagger. I'm going to have some cockiness. And, there's not anything I don't think that I can do.
In fact, he's pretty much proved that everywhere he's been. But it's taken a long time to convince everyone, and there were lots of obstacles to overcome. At 6 feet tall, football experts always considered him to be too short to be a big-time quarterback, not big enough to see over the on-rushing linemen and to spot receivers downfield.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that you can be too short as a quarterback. It's not about height. It's about what you have here and right here.
And in his case, it's about a lot more than just heart and brains. It's about agility and accuracy. Last year, the program Sports Science ran a segment showing him throwing 10 passes at an archer's target and hitting the bullseye dead center all 10 times. But most of all, it's about Brees' athleticism and a skill package that's allowed him to master every sport he's ever tried.
You were a pretty good tennis player, right?
I did.
Against people that turned out to be very good professional players.
I was going to let you bring it up. I know Andy Roddick's probably tired of me talking about how many times I beat him when we were kids. I beat him the first 3 times, and he beat me the last time, and in a pretty convincing fashion. So I knew that...
You were tired.
I knew that my direction in life was going elsewhere.
When you grow up in Austin, Texas, the only sport that matters is football. But after Brees led Westlake High School to the state championship, not one of the big-time Texas universities offered a scholarship. So he went to Purdue, where he was a 2-time All-American and Heisman Trophy finalist and shattered virtually every Big Ten passing record on the books.
You get some satisfaction out of that?
There's always a little bit of personal satisfaction when you prove somebody wrong.
In the NFL, there were more doubters. Even after he was drafted by San Diego in 2001 and led the Chargers to the playoffs 3 years later, the team snubbed him by signing 6'5" Phillip Rivers to be their quarterback of the future. The next year, in the final game of his San Diego contract, his career nearly ended.
Brees on the blitz, ball knocked loose, standing on the goal line. I think Drew Brees got hurt on that play, going for that fumble.
His throwing shoulder had been dislocated and his rotator cuff and labrum torn, but it was the beginning of a wonderful story.
There were people that said that this, that it wasn't operable, that it couldn't be fixed in surgery, that there was a chance you'd never play again.
Oh, it's career-threatening, a career-threatening right shoulder dislocation, which for a quarterback is, the worst injury besides a broken neck that you could have.
After an extremely complicated surgery, only 2 teams came calling. The Miami Dolphins, whose doctors placed Brees' chance of a full recovery at 25%, and the hapless New Orleans Saints, who had more faith.
If someone was going to be able to come back off of that injury, it was going to be someone like Drew Brees.
Green right slot, hound 2, wide bingo, X smash, 1.
The Saints' brand new head coach, Sean Payton, had done his homework on Brees and liked what he saw. But convincing him to come to New Orleans 6 months after Hurricane Katrina was not going to be easy.
The Superdome at that time had, half a roof. There was uncertainty whether this team was going to be here for the long haul. There was a lot of uncertainty.
You think they were more desperate than anybody else?
Well, I think that they were. 30, blue 30, set.
Brees, who could barely raise his throwing arm at that point, decided to visit the city that was barely above water. Coach Payton was assigned to show him and his wife Brittany that the city was livable. Instead, Payton got hopelessly lost amidst the rubble.
So here we are driving down roads, seeing homes literally moved off of their foundations. Cars that are flipped upside down in people's living rooms, boats on top of roofs. I mean, it was the worst of the worst.
And I thought to myself, I might as well just drive him right to Miami. We have no shot at signing him.
In fact, it had exactly the opposite effect.
To see those areas and to see people's lives being affected like that really, I think, helped us make the decision.
In what way?
What most people might see is devastation and, hey, I want no part of this. I think we saw as an opportunity and a challenge.
You sound like missionaries, almost.
I wouldn't go that
Like
far.
it was,
Yeah, well, I think it's...
like you felt some calling here.
We did. We absolutely did.
It was, as they say, the beginning of a beautiful relationship. New Orleans needed a hero, and Drew Brees needed to be needed.
This was the only team that really looked at me and said, we trust you, we have confidence in you, we believe in you. And sometimes all you need is just for somebody to believe in you in order to be able to accomplish maybe what you never thought you could.
Just 6 months later, he led the Saints to their best season ever, all the way to the NFC Championship game, one victory short of the Super Bowl. That season not only marked the rebirth of Brees' career, for many in New Orleans, it marked the rebirth of the city.
It was so needed. I mean, the cars were going the other direction. They weren't coming in, they were leaving. And so here came hope. That will never go away with what he did.
And it was more than just winning football games.
No question.
Off the field, Brees and his wife helped galvanize the relief effort with more than just photo ops. They committed or raised $6 million through their foundation to help rebuild homes and refurbish parks and schools. Even New Orleans Mayor Mitch Landrieu, who we met at a luncheon for the Saints, knew who the most popular man in town is.
You wouldn't want to run against him.
Never. I'd give it to him if he wanted it. He'd be a great man, by the way.
What's up, man? You all right? What's up, guys? You all right?
You could feel it as we took a speed walk through the French Quarter on a quiet August night. The reception he received was the acknowledgement of two dreams that came together last February in Miami.
Thank you.
In an epic game against the Indianapolis Colts and Peyton Manning, Brees conjured up one of the greatest individual performances in the history of the Super Bowl.
It's all just kind of a blur. It all runs together. At the time, it was very much one play at a time. This next play is the most important play of the game. I mean, that was my mindset. We completed almost every pass, and I mean, every play we ran was a successful play for the most part. I mean, we just operated.
Brees would complete an incredible 32 of 39 passes and walk away with the game's most valuable player award.
You won a Super Bowl. So did you.
The sight of him alongside the Lombardi Trophy and holding his son Balin became the enduring sports images of the year. It also effectively put an end to all the questions about his stature as a quarterback.
What makes him so good?
Let's forget for a second the intangibles, the work ethic. Let's forget the mental toughness, the intelligence, this unbelievable competitive spirit. And it's the first time for me to be around someone that driven, and it motivates you. It motivates you as a coach.
Mm-hmm. Before games, a lot of NFL quarterbacks wander off to be by themselves and collect their thoughts. Not Drew Brees. He is the one stoking the fire, a job usually performed by someone much bigger and more intimidating.
From the top 1, win, 3, win, 5, win, 7, win, 9, win.
It's not that often, though, you see a quarterback in the middle doing that stuff.
No. That's the first time ever in my football career. No, it's a little different, but you know what? He's all into it.
We spoke to Saints linebacker Jonathan Vilma and tight end Jeremy Shockey, hoping they would give us some inside information on Brees, some chink in his armor, a piece of dirt, even a speck of lint.
He's a bad drunk.
He's a bad drunk?
No.
They're going to keep that one.
Just as good as the player on the field, he's a better player off the field. Better person off the field.
I will say he's not the best loser. I'll give you that much. He's definitely a sore loser.
We saw it ourselves after a long practice session. We asked Brees if he would give us a demonstration of his passing accuracy for our cameras, and he accepted the offer.
All right. We got to make this good for TV, don't we?
The challenge was to see how many times he could hit the 8-inch goalpost crossbar, which is 10 feet off the ground, from a distance of 30 yards. On this afternoon, Brees wasn't perfect. He hit the crossbar a number of times, and his misses were not very far off, but he failed to live up to his own expectations.
Not my day.
It's all right. Not bad.
No, it was terrible. You got me on a bad day.
I wouldn't lose any sleep over it.
Yeah. I will.
You know, he's his own worst critic. It's just nonstop. I mean, after the Super Bowl, like, oh, you know, it's great, you know, celebration, and, you know, that one ball that got away, or that, you know, one that sailed on him, or, you know, if he could have gotten it out just a little faster. You know, those kind of things. Yeah.
That attitude has gotten him through some tough times. Just before the start of his Super Bowl season, his mother, Mina, in the throes of legal and emotional problems, committed suicide. Their relationship had long been a difficult and contentious one, with periods of estrangement, and Brees blames himself for not recognizing the signs of distress.
There was feelings of sadness, guilt, just thinking about, you know, what could I have done differently? Could I have prevented this?
That pain has been eased somewhat by his devotion to his own son and by the news received days after the Super Bowl that another boy is on the way.
A couple weeks. Yeah, a couple weeks left.
Mid-October?
The 18th. And Drew has an away game on the 17th, so
we'll see how it all plays out.
So what happens if you get a call on the morning of
he's not
an
going to
away
get
game?
a call. He's not going to know. If I go into labor, I'm going to get the drugs and just pretend like everything's fine. Like
so I go play the football game and I come home and there might be a new baby boy there waiting for me. Who knows?
Whatever happens this season, on the field or off, whether he meets his own expectations or not, Drew Brees has already achieved sainthood in New Orleans, and he has delivered the miracles to earn it.
This must feel pretty good.
No, it does. It does. You know, everybody says that if you love New Orleans, it'll love you back. If you hate New Orleans, it'll hate you back. And I love New Orleans.
Go to something new. 60minutesovertime.com for the behind-the-scenes story of the Drew Brees Goalpost Challenge.